That was my line.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Keep liking my latest victory. So many victories lately. Helps me forget my early defeats. Wait, how did I not win that one? In Castlevania 2, that should have been mine. It started on Nintendo, for God's sake. In Final Fight, only if it was 2-player, I know I would have won. Who are you?
I'm a friend from the future, here to help you redeem your past.
What does that mean?
You want a victory? Want to make up for a loss in the past? Look at the sequels for your Beat 'em Up episode. Therein lies your answer.
What?
If you want to win this final fight, look no further than the Streets of Rage.
Huh?
You want to win? Compare Final Fight 2 and Streets of Rage 2.
Za?
Seriously? These games. Compare them and you'll win.
Oh, you should have just said that. So we'll compare these games and I'll redeem Final Fight.
Yes, now you're getting it. Now laugh with me.
Oh man, this is looking awesome.
Final Fight 2 was released exclusively for the Super Nintendo in 1993. It follows the beat-em-up tradition of the original, but with new elements and new characters. It was regarded as one of the top beat-em-ups in its day, and the game was eventually re-released for the Wii Virtual Console in 2009.
Streets of Rage 2 was released in 1992 for Sega Genesis. It also follows the beat-em-up tradition of its predecessor with improvements to gameplay and new characters. Also hailed in its day, the game was re-released for the Wii Virtual Console, PSN, and Xbox Live. Two genre-defining games. Which one's better? Let's find out.
Final Fight 2's got the better graphics.
It maintains the great look of the first game. Characters are large and have a good amount of detail to them. Enemy characters have a nice variety in the look. Even the bosses range in look from large and imposing to small and agile. The levels all take place in different countries and have relics of each country, like the Eiffel Tower in France or a train that says London in London. Add in fluid animation and you've got yourself the better looking beat 'em up.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Streets of Rage 2 definitely looks better.
Unlike Final Fight 2, which pretty much looks like its predecessor, Streets of Rage 2 improved on its graphics vastly. Characters look so much better. They're bigger than the original game, they have more detail, and they also move a lot smoother. The look of the enemies is also improved, and the bosses each have a great unique look to them. Levels also look great and are loaded with variety. It's much improved over the first game.
That's nice that your game looks better than the first one, but it doesn't look better than mine.
Final Fight 2 was made by Capcom, and this game maintains that high standard of quality all Capcom games have, from Mega Man to Street Fighter. There's even Street Fighter cameos here, from Guile to Chun-Li. Can't deny that Capcom quality.
What I can't deny is that my game has the better animation.
This game is so smooth. When the characters attack, it looks so fluid, so refined. The animations on SNES look more rough. It seems more mechanical, while Sega seems more organic. The Sega has more animations too. When the characters aren't moving, they're breathing. In Final Fight 2, when they don't move, they don't move. Really. It's a nice attention to detail that gives this game an overall more polished, natural look. Final Fight 2 just looks more like cardboard cutouts. With a better overall look, graphics go to Sega.
think we know who's gonna win presentation.
Just like the original Final Fight, this game starts off with an intro to get the player pumped up. Then you have cutscenes advancing the story between levels. It's all topped off with an ending, or endings, depending on what difficulty you beat the game with.
Nothing special there. Streets of Rage 2 has the better presentation.
This game also starts off with an intro, and then it wraps up everything with its ending.
That's it? You barely have anything.
Better to have nothing than your lame cutscenes.
Look at these cutscenes between the levels. Or should I say books, because all it is text. I don't need all this text to know I'm going to be fighting in the next level. It's pretty pointless. I mean, if they insisted on text, they could have at least had a picture in the background, like this. That black background is just boring.
But your cutscenes are worse.
For someone who complains about text, you sure have a lot of it in your intro. And then your ending is all pictures. I need some context. Is he dead? Who's in the helicopter? Are they dating? I need context here.
I barely know the story in your game.
What's to know? You're out to save the brother of one of the main characters.
That's so cliche.
What's the plot in your game?
You have to save the sister of one of the characters.
How is that any better?
And her father. The stakes are raised.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's not about the story anyway. It's how it's told.
With more cutscenes during and after the game, presentation goes to Nintendo.
Alright, sound. So the music in
So
Streets
the sound effects in Final Fight 2 are better than Streets of Rage 2.
Sound effects? What about the music?
Yes, sound effects. The most important part of sound.
The sound effects of punching and grunting come out nice and clear on Final Fight 2. They're also pretty clear on Streets of Rage 2. But you might have noticed something. A lot of the sound effects get cut off in the middle for another sound effect. The game couldn't even handle more than one sound effect at a time. So the game sounds incredibly choppy. Super Nintendo clearly has the best sound here.
Sound effects? But you're leaving out the fact that Streets of Rage 2
Has voiceovers? Nah, I didn't forget.
Sure, your game has voiceovers, but what the heck is anyone saying? I'm sorry, but flawed voiceovers don't give you victory.
With much better sound effects. Sound
Hey,
go.
you don't think I know what you're doing? Focusing on sound effects to avoid music?
Did we not talk about music? I thought we did. And I don't like repeating myself, so
You know my music's better because you keep avoiding it.
I'm not avoiding anything. Let's talk about music.
This is a Capcom game, so these songs are gonna rock. They give the game a drive. This is great music for beating people up.
Hear that? My music's good. We don't need to hear yours. Best sound.
Stop doing that! Just listen to one of the best soundtracks ever made.
This is 16-bit at its finest. One classic track after another. These tunes really got a groove. This music is awesome. That was a nice try with sound effects, but you can't deny an amazing soundtrack. Best sound goes to Sega.
Gameplay is where Final Fight 2 shines.
This game plays a lot like the original game, but now it's two freaking players. You have one button to punch and one to jump, but for two freaking players. You also have a special move for 2 freaking players. It's a lot like the first game where you beat up enemies in a stage until you get to a boss, but now with 2 freaking players. You repeat this until you beat the game. 2 freaking players!
If a 2-player mode is your only improvement, you're in trouble.
Streets of Rage 2 also improves on its predecessor, but much more than Final Fight 2. Gameplay seems the same at first, but they added so much more. The special move in the first game, which had limited use, has been replaced by 2 special moves that you can use multiple times. There's also a special move that you can enter manually and do an unlimited number of times.
So you have a few more moves than me. Doesn't mean it's automatically better.
That's a good point. But in this case, it's 100% true.
Having multiple moves improves the gameplay immensely. This variety keeps the gameplay from being too repetitive. In Final Fight 2, you have some basic attacks and 1 special move. That's it. This can get old pretty fast. In Streets of Rage 2, you have basic attacks, back attacks, charge attacks, 2 automatic special moves, and 1 manual special move. Plenty of variety. The best part about the different moves is how quick and easy they are to pull off. It's never frustrating. This is also important because this game can have so many enemies on screen at a time. That's not a problem in Final Fight 2, which can only have 3 enemies at a time.
Multiple enemies doesn't mean it's any better.
That's another good point. But once again, it's true.
You're always busy fighting in Streets of Rage 2. The action is always up to 11. Final Fight 2, on the other hand, feels sluggish. Having only 3 enemies at a time really slows down the game. A big part of this is that the enemies take forever to kill. You spend a lot of time knocking enemies off the screen, waiting for them to come back. Knock them off again, and then you wait again. This happens over and over. It gets so boring. With so many enemies in Streets of Rage 2, you barely notice this problem. The game moves at a much better pace. With many improvements over its predecessor, more variety, and better action, gameplay goes to Sega.
Both games have their charm, but only one is better. And that game is Streets of Rage 2.
It has better graphics with smoother animation. While there may not be many cutscenes, it more than makes up for it with its classic soundtrack and excellent gameplay. Streets of Rage 2 really went above and beyond making improvements not only to the series, but to the beat-em-up genre as well. Final Fight 2 is a decent game in its own right. It just didn't bring anything new to the table, and compared to Streets of Rage 2, it only comes across as mediocre. Best beat-em-up game goes to Streets of Rage 2.
Well, that was an easy victory. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some things to do.
What happened? I thought I was supposed to win.
And you will.
What are you talking about? Because I listened to you, I lost.
Because pride comes before the fall. Let him have that victory. It will make his defeat more complete when you review this game.
A 3rd game? I don't know. I already lost the first 2 games. I don't know if I can trust you.
Oh, you can trust me.
Thanks for watching our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks to everyone who suggested Final Fight 2 and Streets of Rage 2. Keep those other suggestions coming. We will get to them. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter for behind the scenes stuff. Later.